Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Apostate Weekly. I'm your host, James, and as you see, I'm all alone. So I'm not quite sure where my esteemed co host is at the moment. So you get to deal with me. So, like it or not, here I am. So, welcome back, everybody. It is Wednesday, December 4th. We have some stories coming up for you today, or I do at least. Um, I got one about a deaf Hindu girl who was being brainwashed by the witnesses. And then we have another story coming at you about conscientious objectors in Ukraine. And so that's a big ticket item, I think, going on right there with that, especially with their conflict going on. So with that being said, let me go ahead and run this intro and we'll get into it. All right. So, again, welcome back. If you're just joining us, I'm all alone, and you get to deal with me rambling on by myself. Feels kind of weird because it feels like I'm just talking into a box. That's why I like having a co host because we get to bounce off each other and feels less awkward. So, let me go ahead and start you all off today with this girl from. This Hindu girl from Delhi, because this is quite a strange situation that was going on here. Because it says, and the wording here is alleged attempt. So it says it's an alleged attempt to convert this girl who's mute and deaf. And she's 23 years old. And her family says that she was brainwashed and being taken from Indore to Delhi for conversion to Christianity. In this case, the version of Jehovah's Witnesses. And we all know how many tactics the witnesses use and how they look for people like this. They want people who are, as they used to say, sighing and groaning. And it's very predatory the way they go about it. They really look for any way they can to get at you and get you indoctrinated. One of the big things I remember is they always had us practicing for if people had somebody just pass away in their family. So what does that leave them? That leaves them emotionally vulnerable and just ready for somebody to come in and give them hope and give them something to look forward to and take away their pain, even if that is a false hope and a false narrative that they're giving them. And these are the tactics that the witnesses use on people to lure them into their religion. And you can see it's no different here in this situation. Excuse me. Where this girl is deaf and mute, and the witnesses are going after her. And so, what they were saying about this is that this girl left for Indore, without telling her family, and started going to the meetings, and they said that the attempt was made to take the victim. They keep repeating themselves in this article from Delhi to Indore. So it's confusing here. Is she going to Indore or is she going to Delhi? It keeps going back and forth. So I hate when articles do this, but this is because it's the translation of it. So sometimes they don't ever get the translation right. And please pardon my dogs. My kids are coming downstairs and they always bark at everything coming downstairs. So her family noticed, one day, hey, our daughter's missing. And so they went to the police. And, her parents are obviously caring, loving parents, because the first thing they did, unlike the Jehovah's Witnesses, was go to the police. And yeah, mom, I know. And led you down a rabbit hole too. And many years later, you finally were able to break free. So at least you got out. But anyways, the one of the big reasons why her family is so concerned is, if you remember last year, we talked about the bombing at the convention in India. Well, her parents knew about this. That's why they were concerned. And just listen to the statement that her parents make. It says the teaching is not right. They are teaching anti-national things. I told them that they should change their ways, saying but cursing and addressing people in the country in the worst derogatory form is what they do. They're telling a 4-year-old child that if somebody from another community gives you candy, you shouldn't have it. From an early age, they are feeding such poison into the child, he said back to them. So they get how bad the witnesses are. And yet they're still going, these witnesses are still going after their daughter. She's falling for it, but yet her parents really care for her because they're doing everything they can to get her back and get her out of the brainwashing that they're really going to be doing to her, especially if they get her and isolate her into the group and keeps her away from her family. It's going to be really hard. Now, I don't know how many of you have read the book Combating Cult Mind Control from now Dr. Stephen Hassan. He went through a similar situation where he was indoctrinated into the Moonies, taken away from his family. And it was only because he was in a car accident and broke his legs that his dad came and got him. And in his book, he described in that car ride the feelings because of the indoctrination he was getting, that he in that moment wanted to kill his dad. That's how bad and deep indoctrination can get to people, and quick. And he said the only thing that stopped him was he couldn't stand up to do it. And so what eventually happened was his parents took him home, and they had former members of that cult come in and basically give him a very hard deconversion, breaking him of his indoctrination. And he doesn't recommend that way of doing it, but in his case, that form works, and it works well, but it's also a very coercive, and you're isolating that person again. So that's why he doesn't recommend that being done, because you don't want to go from isolating a person in one group to isolating him in another group just to get him out of this group. It's just a bad situation all around. It turned out good for him, obviously, but still, that's why he doesn't recommend it. And I don't blame him. And I don't think that this is what they should do with that girl either, but they do need to get her back home and get her back with her family, because they obviously do care about her. And the longer she's gone, the more they're going to convince her how bad her family is, and the harder it's going to be for her to go home after that. Now, I didn't say anything of her age, so I don't know how old she is. I don't know if she's a legal adult. I don't know if she's still a minor. I don't know any of that. So, it's up in the air about how old this girl really is. Now, if she's a minor, there needs to be some real hell to pay. If she's an adult legally in that country, not so much as far as her making the choice to go, but with the tactics that they use, they need to be made aware of, and something needs to happen especially to the people that took her away and tricked her into going. Doc, I don't know. Let me. Did it say that? Oh, yes, you're right. You're right, Doc. It did say it. She is 23. Yep, it did. Thank you, Doc. Appreciate that. Yeah, I kind of skipped right over that as I was reading it. So, yeah, thank you. All right. So, that being said, I am going to go ahead and move on to my next story that I have for you. Hey, Jonathan, how you doing, buddy? Um, so this next story I got for you is coming out of Ukraine. And we all know that this war in Ukraine has been going on now for a couple years and it's getting desperate. The military and the country there is getting desperate for people to be a part of it. And we know that Jehovah's Witnesses always keep their neutral stand and don't join the military. They'll conscientiously object. And while before conscientious objection was allowed, Ukraine passed an emergency law saying no, you cannot conscientiously object because of the need and for people to join in and help with this. The Supreme Court made this decision in June of this year, 2024. And so as of late October, police and prosecutors are investigating about 300 criminal cases against conscientious objectors. Now, out of that 300, it says over 280 were Jehovah's Witnesses. So it says some others were Adventists, Baptists, Pentecostals, and non-believers. But out of 300, only 20 people weren't witnesses. That is an incredibly high margin for any country to have for the objectors to be doing that. Now, I'm going to read what Article 17 of the Law of Ukraine says. It says, on defense of Ukraine, protection of the fatherland, independence, and territorial integrity of Ukraine is a constitutional duty of the citizens of Ukraine. Male citizens of Ukraine eligible for military service, for health and age, and female citizens also with appropriate professional training must perform military service in accordance with the law. Thus, no religious beliefs can be the basis for evading a citizen of Ukraine, recognized as fit for military service, from mobilization in order to fulfill his constitutional duty to protect the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the state from military aggression by a foreign country. And President Zelensky appealed to the Constitutional Court on September 24th, 2024. And proceedings were opened about his complaint. And it says an answer is not expected until several months. But this right here, though, is really where the witnesses are going to be able to use this war on Ukraine now as more of their persecution propaganda. They already have it from Russia, which being banned and imprisoning witnesses, they're already have been using it to their advantage in full force. Now they're going to have something else to use. I can just imagine, what videos they're going to try to do. Now, granted, it might not be easy to get into Ukraine, so it's going to probably be hard to do actual videos of it, but they'll probably get letters or correspondence somehow with the ones who go to prison for this and use that in their propaganda videos. So, it's sad here. It really is, because I understand. I personally don't want to go to war. I don't want to join the military. I don't want to be put in that position. But this is one of those things where this country is so desperate for people that they have to take away those rights temporarily for their cause. They're fighting for their freedom. They're trying to stave off a country that is a big bully and, protect their own sovereignty. So I get why they're doing it, but when you're doing things like this to a cult, it doesn't help them whatsoever. It's a very touchy situation. It's a catch 22. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't, no matter what you do in this situation. And if I was the president of Ukraine, I'd probably be doing the exact same thing. You need people. I don't have time to think about whether I'm going to make you go into your cult more. I need you. I need you in positions, whether it's on the battlefield, whether it's in doing medical services, transportation, logistics. There's all sorts of jobs you can do other than fighting for the military that helps support the military. But yet the witnesses refuse to do any of those jobs just because it has the stigma of military being on it. So with that being said, I don't know where to go from there. I hope that the witnesses that do join up and are forced to, that they at least get jobs that aren't fighting other people. That's about all I can say to that. But I mean, a lot of people who get conscripted into service like that aren't going to have any formal training in combat anyways. So they're more likely to be put in support services. And that is just my opinion. If I'm wrong, somebody let me know. That's a good question, Jay. I don't know. Like, I always felt that I would protect myself if someone broke into my home, whether I was a witness or not. So, it's tough. Not everybody will, though, I don't think. Some people will think they can't. Others won't. Others will. It just depends. So, let's see here. What's my dad saying? I'm already seeing pictures of JW smiling in Ukraine on Facebook. Yeah, I've seen some of those pictures too. And I've seen those since the start of the war. But now it's kind of changing because they're not allowed to just object and not go to war. So they might still put their smiling faces on Facebook just to, for the cult cause, but I doubt they got really anything to be happy about. Let's see. The fact that other groups are also conscientious objectors goes against their stance that they are the only true religion. That is a great point, Jenny. Yes, that is a great point. Yes, it definitely goes against their stance that they're the only true religion and are being persecuted. Yes, very true. Yeah, because that used to be one of their proofs of being the one and only true religion, because only witnesses get persecuted, which is absolute crap because, as Jenny said, other groups stand up and are objecting. They're being persecuted in the exact same way as the witnesses, if you want to call it persecution. It's not being persecuted when the government's saying, hey, we need you to help fight in our war. That's a whole other issue, but the witnesses are going to use it like it's persecution. So that's the whole point of this. So yes, very much so. And yeah, they definitely will be using that as their propaganda for persecution. But the problem is the witnesses will fail to see the irony in that being persecution of other religions and them being the only true religion. They won't get that. They won't see it. They're just going to be blind to that fact because they don't think any other religion is the true religion except them. They're getting persecuted. Okay, I see other people getting persecuted too, according to our standards of persecution. But they're not going to see that, oh, well, maybe we're not the only true religion. Let's see what Jonathan say here. Doubtful they will mention the other 20 when they definitely won't mention the other 20 when they report it on their broadcast. They don't even mention any other religions who get persecuted in the same countries around the world that they're in. They're not going to mention them because they think they are the center of the world when it comes to religion, and that everybody's interested in them, and all the governments want to attack them and persecute them, when really nobody gives two shits about them. And that's just how it is. Nobody gives two shits about them, except in rare cases. I mean, like America, we don't care about them. The UK doesn't care about them. South America doesn't care about them. I mean, yeah, they only care about them when problems arise and somebody brings them to court, or situations like this, or Russia. But these are not the rule. These are the exceptions, and that's what the witnesses don't realize. What they're seeing here are the exceptions, not the rules on how they're being treated around the world. So, anyways, with that being said, I can't squeeze any more out of this than I already did, especially without having somebody to bounce off of. So I'm going to cut it off there, everybody. So thank you all for joining me, and thanks for the comments. Appreciate that. Definitely helps my thought processes and bring out stuff that I wasn't thinking of on the spot here too. So definitely appreciate that. I hope you all have a wonderful week. And I think we need to start there's that old TV show, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? So where in the world is Ryan Sandiego? Like, come on, Ryan, where are you? Hello? Like, come on. So hopefully she's doing all right. And hopefully she'll be back next week. Again, thank you, everybody. Have a great week. Stay warm, stay hydrated. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share as well, so we can get out to the YouTube algorithms. And we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye.